Son, have you ever noticed that the men women become obsessed with are rarely the men trying hardest to keep them? Think carefully about that, because it destroys almost everything modern men are taught about attraction. Most boys grow up believing love is earned through constant effort. More texting, more reassurance, more emotional exposure, more chasing. Yet somehow, the men who create the deepest emotional pull often move slower, speak less, and reveal themselves carefully. That should make you curious because there is a psychological law hiding underneath it. A law ancient kings understood, powerful families protected, disciplined men quietly mastered. And once you see it, you start noticing it everywhere, in relationships, in politics, in business, even in war. And son, before we go deeper into this, do something for me. If you've ever felt yourself losing peace trying to hold on to someone, press the like button quietly. Not for the algorithm, for the reminder that a man must never lose himself chasing validation. One small action, one silent agreement between men who understand this pain. I learned this lesson late, son. Late enough to lose a marriage over it, late enough to sit alone in a penthouse apartment, staring at city lights, wondering how a man can succeed everywhere in life, yet slowly lose himself emotionally without realizing it. I was respected back then. People knew my name. I had money, influence, connections. But emotionally, I was making one fatal mistake. I became too emotionally available. At first, it felt noble, loving, honest. I believed complete emotional openness would deepen connection. Instead, it slowly erased tension. And tension is what keeps emotional energy alive. I remember the exact night I realized something had changed. Rain tapping softly against the kitchen windows, warm lights glowing across marble counters, a beautiful woman sitting across from me, yet the emotional atmosphere felt cold. Years earlier, she looked at me with curiosity in her eyes, hunger, warmth, respect. But that night, she looked at me the way people look at a song they have heard too many times. Predictable, familiar, emotionally overplayed, and suddenly I understood something terrifying. I had spent years trying so hard to prove my love that I accidentally removed all mystery from myself. Every emotion exposed immediately, every insecurity shared immediately, every fear handed over without restraint. Nothing protected, nothing earned, nothing left to discover. Most men think emotional flooding creates intimacy. Sometimes it only creates emotional exhaustion. Now listen carefully, son. I want you to imagine a bow and arrow in your hands, not a toy bow, an ancient war bow, heavy wood, rough grip, the kind warriors once carried before battles decided entire kingdoms. Now watch carefully what gives the arrow power. Not the release, the pullback, the tension, the resistance. Without tension, the arrow falls weakly to the ground. But when the string is pulled backward with precision, force builds silently. Potential builds silently. The arrow cuts through the air because space created energy. Relationships work similarly. Most men destroy attraction because they panic during emotional distance. The moment they feel connection with a woman, they move too close too quickly. Too many texts, too much availability, too much emotional exposure. They loosen the string completely, and then they wonder why desire disappears. But disciplined men understand something ancient. Space creates pull. Mystery creates movement. Absence creates emotional weight. Not fake games, not manipulation, discipline. That distinction matters enormously. Weak men manipulate because they fear losing control. Strong men control themselves first. That is real power. Look throughout history. The men who carried the strongest presence were rarely the loudest. Steve McQueen barely spoke compared to the people around him. Women obsessed over him anyway. Why? Because silence creates psychological gravity. Human beings naturally project depth onto what they cannot fully read. Meanwhile, insecure men explain themselves endlessly and slowly drain emotional tension from every interaction. Or look at Clint Eastwood during his prime. Minimal words, controlled reactions, massive presence. He looked emotionally anchored within himself. That energy cannot be manufactured cheaply. It comes from emotional groundedness. Now compare that with modern men online exposing every thought, every wound, every insecurity instantly to strangers. Nothing private, nothing protected, nothing emotionally sacred. The world has become addicted to emotional oversharing, and mystery died with it. But son, valuable things are protected. Banks protect gold. Governments protect intelligence. Families protect inheritance. Even luxury brands understand this psychology. Rolex does not beg people to buy watches. Scarcity creates emotional value. The rare becomes magnetic. Human psychology works the same way. A man whose attention is constantly available slowly loses emotional weight. That does not mean becoming cold. Cold men break too. It means becoming intentional. There is a massive difference between warmth and emotional surrender. Most men do not understand that difference until pain teaches them. Pain taught me. Years after my divorce, I met an old businessman in Geneva. Gray hair, sharp eyes, calm voice, the kind of man who barely moved emotionally, no matter what chaos surrounded him. Women gravitated toward him constantly. Not because he performed for attention, because he seemed emotionally complete without needing it. That energy changes everything. During dinner, he leaned toward me and said something I never forgot. "Richard, never become emotionally cheap." That sentence haunted me for years because emotionally cheap men are everywhere now. Instant access, instant reassurance, instant validation, instant emotional exposure, no restraint, no depth, no inner world protected from immediate consumption. But emotionally expensive men move differently. They reveal themselves slowly, like chapters in a powerful book, and the human mind becomes fascinated by what unfolds gradually. Think about great films. The audience never stays emotionally invested because everything is revealed in the first 10 minutes. No, suspense creates emotional attachment. Uncertainty creates attention. The space between knowing and not knowing keeps people emotionally engaged. Human beings chase completion naturally. That is why unfinished emotions stay alive for years. And that is why some men become unforgettable while others disappear from memory quickly. One man gives everything immediately. The other reveals depth slowly. Guess which man lingers in the mind longer? And son, if a part of you is beginning to wake up while listening to this, write tension in the comments. Not because it helps the channel, because powerful truths become stronger when spoken out loud. And somewhere beneath this video, another young man may read your words and realize he is not alone in what he is feeling. Most attraction dies from predictability, not kindness, predictability. There is a difference. A woman should feel warmth from you, but she should also feel that your entire emotional universe does not revolve around her. That creates respect, and respect sustains attraction far longer than excitement alone ever can. I once knew an actor in Los Angeles, famous, handsome, women everywhere, but privately, terrified of being emotionally abandoned. And fear always leaks eventually. The moment a woman became slightly distant, he unraveled internally. More text, more reassurance, more emotional pursuit. He thought he was fighting for love. In reality, he was fighting against his own anxiety. Most men are not communicating when they chase emotionally. They are self-soothing. Huge difference. Women feel that instantly. Need changes your posture. your timing, your energy, your voice. People sense desperation before words are even spoken. And once someone realizes your emotional center depends on them, the balance changes. That is why emotional discipline matters so much. A grounded man stabilizes himself first. An unstable man asks others to stabilize him emotionally. One feels powerful, the other feels exhausting. Look at Keanu Reeves, quiet, measured, grounded. The world became obsessed with him because calmness feels rare in an emotionally chaotic culture. People trust calmness instinctively. Women do too. Now, let me tell you something uncomfortable, son. Women often test emotional stability unconsciously, not because they are evil, because life itself tests strength. Storms test buildings. Pressure tests steel. Distance tests emotional grounding. A woman may pull back emotionally just to observe your reaction. Most men fail immediately. They panic. And panic destroys masculine presence faster than almost anything else. The strongest men I have ever known became calmer under emotional uncertainty, not louder. That calmness communicates inner stability, and inner stability creates emotional gravity. Gravity does not chase, gravity pulls. Look at the ocean. The ocean does not chase rivers. Rivers naturally flow toward it because of depth. Rooted men move differently. A rooted tree survives storms because its strength exists beneath the surface. The same is true for masculine presence. A man rooted in purpose cannot be emotionally shaken easily. Purpose creates gravity. Mission creates emotional direction. That is why some men become more attractive with age. Not because of appearance, because groundedness deepens. They stop reacting impulsively. They stop begging for validation. They stop emotionally collapsing every time uncertainty appears. And that steadiness feels powerful. Look at powerful leaders throughout history. Winston Churchill during war. Bombs falling, entire nations terrified. Yet his voice remained measured, controlled. Because calmness during pressure creates trust. Emotional chaos destroys trust. That truth applies everywhere. Business, leadership, relationships. Women may enjoy excitement temporarily, but deep emotional trust requires stability. Never forget that. Now hear me carefully because this next part matters deeply. The goal is not emotional coldness. The goal is emotional mastery. A fireplace controlled correctly warms the home. An uncontrolled fire burns the house down. Emotion works the same way. Most men today either suppress emotion completely or drown inside it. Disciplined men learn balance. Warm heart, controlled mind. That combination becomes rare, very rare, and rare things naturally become valuable. I learned this after spending years rebuilding myself emotionally after divorce. There was a winter evening I remember vividly. I sat alone in silence, staring at snow falling across the city. No validation, no emotional reassurance, no one telling me I mattered. And suddenly I realized something painful. I had slowly built my emotional identity around another human being. That realization almost destroyed me, but it also rebuilt me, because pain either sharpens a man or softens him permanently. And I decided I would never again place my emotional foundation entirely into another person's hands. Love deeply, yes. Need desperately, never. A woman should add peace to your life, not become the source of your peace. That distinction changes everything. Because once someone becomes your emotional oxygen, they control your breathing. That is dangerous. Strong men love fully while remaining rooted within themselves. Weak men attach emotionally until they lose their center completely. And once a man loses his center, he begins negotiating from fear. Fear destroys attraction slowly. Fear creates over-explaining, over-pursuing, overreacting, and eventually respect evaporates quietly, not through dramatic betrayal, through emotional imbalance. Now let me tell you another truth. Nobody explains to young men honestly. Women are drawn deeply toward men who seem emotionally complete without needing constant approval. Not arrogant men, grounded men. There is a difference. Arrogance seeks superiority. Groundedness seeks purpose. Purposeful men become magnetic because their life energy already moves towards something meaningful. Women feel that movement. It creates emotional pull naturally. That is why ambitious men often become more attractive over time, while emotionally needy men become exhausting. Mission sharpens masculine energy. Direction sharpens presence. A drifting man always feels emotionally unstable underneath the surface. Now think about music. What makes music beautiful? Not constant sound, pauses, tension, release. Without pauses, music becomes noise. Relationships are similar. Without emotional space, everything becomes emotionally flat. Most men fear emotional space. Strong men understand its value. They understand that emotional breathing room keeps tension alive naturally. Again, not manipulation. Rhythm, like inhaling and exhaling. And one final thing before I leave you with this, never become addicted to being fully understood by everyone. Mysterious men are not mysterious because they hide lies. They are mysterious because not everything inside them is immediately available for consumption. There is silence in them, depth in them, restraint in them. People feel that. The strongest presence in a room is often the man least desperate to control the room. Remember that for the rest of your life. If this message reached deep inside you, write grounded in the comments so I know you understood. Then share this with one young man who keeps giving away his emotional center without realizing it. And if you want more honest wisdom from a man who learned life through heartbreak, rebuilding, success, and painful lessons, subscribe and turn on the bell. From my heart to yours, Richard Whitemore.